Well, good day, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. This one's going to be really cool because, I love my card collecting. I have been card collecting now since all the way back in 2019. It was around the traders. I do prefer Elite. If you guys are wondering, I do love my Elite NRL, and I've got, glass cabinets full, and I know there's so many collectors out there, and I've loved meeting collectors over the years, but none other than the man who's going to join me on screen. You've probably seen him in some videos. I think he may have won a giveaway at Magic Round a couple of years ago for picking the Raiders to win against the Bulldogs from memory. But Jared runs a fantastic page on Facebook. And, the thing about these cards, guys, is that people do breaks. I used to do them myself as well. And you basically pay money to have a spot and you can get any type of card from that team, whether it be a signature, whether it be something cool, numbered. There's lots of limited editions. But one of those break pages, which I want to mention, is the NRL and Sports Cards Breaks over on Facebook, which Jared runs. And I'm joined by Jared tonight to break down the 2024 NRL Traders. How are you today, Jared?
Not bad, thanks. Yourself? G'day, everyone. Nice to be here.
Yeah, I'm not too bad. At the time of filming this, it's Sunday afternoon. I've made my little rant video relating to the Parramatta Fan Day. So I'm looking forward to making a bit of a positive video, and especially talking about the Parramatta cards that I will try and collect, because I don't collect all of the traders. I remember last year, I think I pulled a Herbie Farnworth sig, which I think I resold. I think I remember getting a Dolphins team signature. A Dolphins team redemption. But obviously you had to collect that whole set, which made it really difficult. But yeah, there's a lot to like about this year. So let's get into breaking it down. So first off, we're going to talk about the base and parallel checklist. Now, I don't have, I've got the flyer with the packs. Do you have the checklist there with you?
I do. It's like mostly, it's full of the team superstars with a couple of young ones thrown in on most teams. Just having a quick look now, like your Broncos. You've got Kurt Capewell still on the Broncos, but that was a late signing to the Warriors, so you can't blame TLA on that one. But you got your Payne Haas, Ezra Mam, Reece Walsh, Tony Staggs, Adam Reynolds, Cobbo, Carrigan. So it's all the superstars. Same with the Raiders, but you've got a couple of the younger guys in there, Matt Timoku, Zeb Chris, getting his first common card now. He's had a couple of cards now, but that's his first common. And he had a common last. Actually, no, he had an elite. Sorry, but it's his first traders, and he's the signature too. But won't go too far ahead there. But one thing about the commons that I did notice that is different from previous traders sets is previously it's been a 10 card traders team set. It's now 9. So you got the checklist, the logo, and only 8 players, where previously it was 9 players plus the checklist. Now that's neither here nor there, but me personally, I like having 9 players to a page in my folder, because I put all the checklists at the back or at the front, depending on how I want to do it, and put them all together. But the majority of people are opposite to that. They like having them all on the one page for each team. So it's made a lot more people happy, because that's how Elite does it as well. Elite just has the 9. You can fit them all on the one page. There's no having to move it over. So from a popularity point of view, TLA's probably done the right thing in regards to that, because most people I've spoken to really like that. Whereas me personally, I like 9 players and then the logo. I could live without the logo, to be honest, but that's one thing I did notice. But otherwise, the design, I think it's a cool design. It's very similar to last year's. But I enjoyed last year's, and I'd rather it stay a nice, similar design than changing it just for the sake of changing it and making it look crap.
Yeah, I think I'm having a bit of a look at it now, and I can see definitely some newer names, obviously, to clubs. I know Toby Sexton was a bit of a late change to the Bulldogs there, so Bulldogs fans getting a chance to get a Toby Sexton card there. I can't remember if Max King was part of the base set last year. I don't think he was.
He was in Elite. I know he was in Elite, but I can't remember if he was in Traders. There's so many cards that come out, as you know. It's hard to keep track.
Was there Dolphins base cards in last year's Traders?
No.
No, there wasn't. So this is the first time Dolphins fans, for your Dolphins fans, can get your hand on the Traders cards. Obviously, there was the team set that came out last year that people were trying to collect, but there was no actual base cards. So, your Hamaso, your Kafusi, your Asako and Bromwich, as well as the checklist, it's all available for the Dolphins fans there. But yeah, loving seeing all of these different names and having a look around, seeing some new ones as well. Yeah, no, it looks like a good little set. And you mentioned it, a similar design to last year. I'll be honest, I don't have too much to compare it to last year because I wasn't massive on collecting it. But I definitely appreciate that they've gone with a similar design because it's what worked. And yeah, I think the gold especially look really, really nice as well.
Yeah, I think they do. Like I said, it is very similar to last year, but I'd much rather it look nice and be similar than just to change it and just go, oh, geez, why'd you change it? I think, it's very similar, but I still think it's good. I'm going to try and collect the full sets of the commons and the parallels. Golds, I'll just try and do my Raiders team set. It's too hard to sort of do all the golds, although some people do try and do it. And it's a few people have completed last year's ones I saw recently, and it looks awesome when they're all together. But no, I think they look good. I'd give them probably 8 or 9 out of 10 for those ones.
I think for the base one, it's okay. I'd probably give it like a 5 or a 6. But I really like the look of these parallels. I really like the look of these parallels. I'm looking at it. It is a little bit blurry, but this example of Ruben Cotter, I think the socks especially really stand out on the card with those Cowboys colors there, matching, the socks with the kind of wave that's going over the card towards the right-hand corner. So yeah, I'm probably going to give it like an 8.5 for the parallels there. And then I mentioned the golds, which I absolutely love as well. So the golds are probably about an 8.5 as well, with the example being Nathan Cleary there. They've done a nice blend of team colors with those backgrounds.
Yeah, that'll be a very sought after card, the Nathan Cleary, that's for sure.
It will be. Let's talk about the Rising Stars. Now, the Rising Stars have been there for a few years now. I know a lot of people have probably wanted this one to kind of change it up. There has been some cards that have been changed up within the traders, but this one's sticking around. The example here, I can't actually see who it is, but it is a female Titans player. It is completely blurry on my end here, but it is a Titans player used in as example. And, she's coming out of the star. She's passing the ball. You've got Titans colors and obviously a star. I don't mind the design, but again, I'm one of those people that kind of want to see something different. I think it's the 3rd year now of the Rising Stars.
Third or fourth.
It could be
sticking similar. It's a similar design again to last year's, but they still, like I said, they still look nice. It's the first years that they've had women's in the Rising Stars, though.
Yeah, and that's a great addition.
Definitely. It's still got the 3 men's per team, but if you've got a women's team, you're getting 2. So it's not 3 women's per team like the men's, but I'm pretty sure. Let's just double check. Yeah, it's 2 women's per team. And again, very similar to last year's designs, but they look good. It's a nice, fun, relatively easy set to complete. So most people should be able to do it without breaking the bank. And it's got a lot of up and coming stars on it. Some of them sadly don't go on with it, but a lot of them become superstars, and it's pretty cool to have one of their first cards back when they were a rising star, so to speak.
Well, I don't mind this design, but I'm looking at the one next to it, which I don't actually have a thing to come up for the screen, so I do apologize, guys, because normally these cards are just there every year and they're just common, but these season to remember cards coming into 2024 look really, really nice. I'm looking at the Broncos as an example here now. I could be wrong, but I believe it's 2 men's players and then 1 NRLW player. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So for the 10 teams that have got an NRLW team, it'll be 2 men's and 1 women's. Whereas obviously the teams that don't have an NRLW, it's still the traditional 3 men's for the season to remember.
This is really, really cool. And the fact about this is there's kind of a grayed out shadow version of the player at the top of the card as well. So these actually look really, really nice. Still, obviously, the detail about why it was a season to remember. I think from memory, it used to be on the back of the card, but this one seems to look like it's on the front. This is honestly a 10 out of 10 design. I'm not kidding. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the background. I'm looking at the way this forms for both the men and the women's game for team collectors. This is blown me. Yeah.
Well, one thing I will say about the season to remember that caught my attention when I first saw them is this year I think they look a much better individual card than previous years. Last year's was still, I thought, was really good individually as well, but you sort of had to have them together to get the full effect. Whereas these ones, whether you don't get all three of your teams anyway, as an individual card, it still looks like a great card. Whereas previous years, you're like, what is that? Is that half of a what? And then you realize it's half of a two. But if you're not a huge collector, you look at it and go, what is this? What's the point of this? Whereas this year, individually, I think they look like a great card. And then as a set, will look even better.
Another one that I didn't include, but there is a new card. My phone's gone funny there while looking at it. And that new card is the World in League card. Now, I know this is something that you've wanted for quite a while in these card sets since I've known you, something similar. Now, I think this is a fantastic idea by the NRL and by TLA. But personally, the execution of this idea does not look great. I'm looking at this example of Viliami Kikau. There is so much writing in the background of the card. And for people who are most likely going to want this signed, it's not going to look as great. I think this is a bit of a letdown. Personally, I think it's a great idea, but I'm looking at it and I'm probably going to give this one about a 3.5. I'm going to roast today.
Yeah, no, as you said, it's something that I've been calling for a while. About 6 months ago, I even put up a post showing off some of my favourite cards from 1994. That shows how old I am. That were caught international honour rolls. Now, they were only Australian players, so it had the Australian flag in the background, and they were all wearing their club kit. Now, these ones here, for licensing reasons, for those that don't know, TLA would only have the license for the NRL. They wouldn't have the licensing rights to have a Samoan, Tongan, PNG, Fiji, English. They just wouldn't have the rights to be able to have those photos put on the card. So it is understandable as to why they're in their club kits. But as you said, the idea, I love it. Been wanting it for ages, and I'm glad that they've done it. I will chase this set for sure. But the execution, the fact that there's no colours of the nation behind them. I understand, again, the legalities of not being able to put the flag on there. They probably don't have the rights to be able to put the nation's flag. But, for example, Viliami Kikau, you could have, he's Fijian, isn't he?
So you could have something like a light blue, not that darker Bulldogs blue that we're seeing.
Yeah, and with the Tongan players, you could have red and white in the background. New Zealand, the black and white in the background, just sort of bleeding through the back of the card. So you can tell what country it is without actually breaching any copyright issues. That's when I pictured these cards, how I thought, that's how they're going to look. When I saw them on the flyer, yes, I was very disappointed that it's just, Joe Tapine in a Raiders shirt, and you can just see the writing in the background that just says New Zealand, New Zealand, New Zealand, New Zealand. So idea, 10 out of 10. Execution, 4 or 5. But I am keen to see these in hand because I think there is a parallel version as well. So you got your normal, I think it's two per box, and then there's 1 per box parallel hit. So it'll be interesting to see what the differences are in the parallel versions. Assuming the parallel will be a bit more shiny, but the parallel may have a bit more colour on it. I don't know. But, I'm keen to see him in hand. But it's a good start, but I would have preferred it a little bit different.
Well, let's get into the Club Heroes. Now, the Club Heroes back in, I think it was during the pandemic around 2020 when I had set myself a goal while collecting of trying to get the Club Heroes that year signed by, I think it was 2021 maybe, and it was
21. Yes,
set
21 because you got a couple of ones signed that I was like, oh man, I want that one.
Yeah, I think David Nofaluma and Caleb Ponga maybe played their milestone games, and I think they wrote either 100 or 150 on those cards as well. So they're really special to me. That's one of my favorite things that I do have in my collection. Now, I've always been a fan of these Club Heroes. They've gone with different designs for different years, similarities. Now, I'm looking at this, and I don't think it looks the greatest. I think that the Warriors kind of blue purple background over the top of the logo is way too much, and it looks very hard to find the right spot for your signature on it. But again, I do like it, and I think there are some spots for signatures and things like that. I think these are going to look better in hand. I'm going to stick with a 6 at the moment, but I think this is a card that could come out really good once we see them in person. But I'm a sucker for Club Heroes. I always am.
I totally agree with you on that. Love the Club Heroes. I'm not sold on the design of these ones either, but I've said that before with some of the Club Heroes. I think it was last year or the year before. I looked at them and went, oh, yeah, they're not as good as what I preferred. And then when I saw them in hand, after seeing a couple in hand, I was like, oh, these are awesome. Yep, I'm collecting these again. So I'm pretty sure that will happen again with me with these. I'm just looking at one close up now. Yeah, it's not bad. I do like it. So, and I will be chasing them.
So for the Raiders, you've got Samai Mataufa, Adam Mariota, and Joseph Tarpany. And then for myself, for Parramatta fans, you've got Abby Church from the NRLW, Woodamoo Greg, and Clint Gutherson as well. So, yeah, there's plenty of great names. There's some young guns in there too. Dylan Lucas from the Newcastle Knights. Really like what I've seen from him. Tyrone Munro from the Rabbitohs. Jareem Buller's got 2, which you mentioned earlier. And Jacob Preston's also got 2 as well. But, yeah, there's some newer additions to your club that there's some great cards to collect throughout those Club Heroes for sure.
With the Dream Buller having 2, for those that aren't aware, because I have seen some people online talking about it. So there is Jacob Preston has 2. So the Bulldogs, both of them are Jacob Preston. Tigers, both of them are Dream Buller for the men's anyway. The reason behind that is, for those that don't know, Club Heroes are based off each club's awards nights for the previous year. So virtually TLA, they just have to put on there whoever wins the club's team award or the rookie award, or whatever award it may be that the club does. That's what they base them off. So that's why I think this is the first time this has actually happened, where it's been 2 of the same person. I know this had a few season to remembers where it's been 2 of the same people, but I think this is the first time it's happened. But yeah, that's why, for those that look at it and go, oh, geez, why has this guy got 2? Couldn't they have chosen someone else? It's based off the awards.
Yeah, that's a good explanation as to why that's happening. Let's move into the showcase caricatures. Now, I've liked the caricatures. We've had, Startoons and things like that over the years. There's been that kind of name change. Now, this is interesting because when I first look at this, it looks like it's more of a paper design rather than that hard card design that we're more used to. It looks like, it's a bit easier if it was to bend or rip, which is a little bit disappointing, whereas those harder cards of caricatures, Startoon, were better. Don't mind the design. I think it's Campbell Graham for the example that I've got here looking at. But, I think the team colours blend nicely. There's a nice little animated kind of or drawn background as well. Bold black writing to see who your player is. There you go. Eels is Sean Lane, and Raiders, for your Raiders fans, is Corey Horsburgh. And for your other collectors, these are your ones on the screen. But, yeah, I think they're not too bad as well. I think they're probably around the Club Hero kind of for me. So probably around that maybe 6.5 for a rating for this one for me.
Yeah, I like them. Each year I sort of go, maybe I won't collect them. But again, I see them in hand. I'm like, oh, I like them. And yeah, the Campbell Graham example that's on the flyer, I actually think it looks pretty cool. Yeah, and there's going to be different variants. I'm pretty sure that's one of the starter pack bonus cards. Don't quote me on that, but there'll be different variants. So it'll be interesting to see how the variants differ again in regards to that. But yeah, no, I like them. Reece Walsh, you just had on the screen, is the Broncos one. So I'm pretty sure that'll be one of the really sought after ones. But yeah, I always give the caricature ones or the Power Heroes or Startoons, whatever they want to call it each year. I always think they're solid 6 to 7 sort of thing. They're a fun thing to collect. I know a lot of the kids love them. It gets the kids collecting, and that's what Traders was always about: getting the kids involved, the younger people involved, getting them more into the hobby. And so I think it's a great thing that they're continuing on, in my opinion, with those.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the signatures, and I will just move this one on my screen as well. So for the signatures, these are your ones here. So for the Parramatta Eels, it is Mike Acebo, who was in a booklet for the elite. So, it's not a newer kind of player, which is just a little bit disappointing to me. For the Raiders there, it is Sebastian Chris. Other mentionable names for this one is the Cowboys, Jeremiah Nanai, Thomas Burgess for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, Tiana Penatani for the Sharks as well, Millie Boyle for I think it's the Roosters, isn't it? But it's covered up by the initials and signatures there.
Yeah, Roosters, yep.
And Reed Marnie for the Bulldogs. So they're getting Reed Marnie nice and early when Parramatta got no Reed Marnie signature card, which is a little bit disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, I know there was I can think of at least 5 to 6 Eels collectors that each year were calling for a Reed Marnie Eels signature. And he's, second or third year? I think it's this will be his second year at the Bulldogs. He gets a signature. So, yeah, go figure. But, it's an interesting list. Some younger blokes in there, which is, I reckon, it's really cool, and some of the older blokes. There's a few that have had signature cards before, but there's a lot that haven't. And me being a Raiders collector, first thing I always look for is, have they had a Raiders signature before? And in Zeb's case, he hasn't. So I'm very excited about that in particular. And then obviously this being the first year of the Raiders having NRLW signature cards. So, well, in Traders anyway, there was the Pink Diamonds in Elite. But, yes, I'm very excited about that. My bank balance won't be, because it'll mean extra ones to collect. But I'll be jumping right in to try and collect those ones. And there's a few others, like Kira Did for the Cowboys and the girls. I think that'll be a popular one. Millie Boyle, as you mentioned. Then you got Charles Nickel-Clockstad for the Warriors. Will Warbrick, I think, will be a good one for the Storm. So yeah, there's a lot there to keep people interested, I think.
And I think the white signatures are the best, guys. I know that black's obviously more expensive, but I really like the look of these white ones. I liked them last year as well. I think there's no need really, unless you're collecting kind of team sets, to go after the black. I think the initials is cool for the kids and things, but I don't know where they were going with it. It seems a little bit weird to add in the initials thing. I think it's the second or third year of it now, and personally, I'm not a massive fan of that. But as for the white signatures, they're one of my favorite things to collect for sure.
Yeah, one thing I agree with that. The blacks would have been good if it was all black and it was signed in gold, something like that. But I think the whites look better. I do like how this year they seem to have added a little bit more team colours to the cards, whereas previously a lot of them, it's just you put them all together and it just all blends in. Whereas these ones, you got a lot more of the team colours on there. The initials, I wish they used that background for the signature cards. Had it as a white and the team colour in the background instead of just the generic black. But, they're nice looking cards. It'll be interesting to see how they look in hand. But I think they're the white ones the pick for me too, which is good because there's more of the white ones to collect than the black ones, which will be a lot harder to find.
I don't have any checklist, unfortunately, with me. I can't find one for the running machines. I have got an example here, which is Siosifa Talakai as meters. Now, I think we had top point scorer, something like that last year. We had top try scorer, which was a landscape card, which I remember. I think I had a Mike Acebo. think for some reason I had maybe a Brian or Stephen Crichton a couple of years ago as well. But yeah, these look really nice. Blurred out crowd by the looks of it. A Sharks logo up the top. Nice colors, works with the gold. I think this is definitely one of the better cards. I'm probably going to give this one a 9. It's up there with the Season to Remembers, but man, those Season to Remembers are just the best thing I've seen of the day so far.
Yeah, I think the running machines look good, and I've got the checklist here. Looking at the list, there is some big names on there. Like you got Herbie Farnworth for the Broncos. Obviously, he's at the Dolphins now, but he was the top running meter for the Broncos last year. You got Matt Timoku for the Raiders, Karaz for the Dogs, as you mentioned, Talakai for Sharkies.
So these are kind of like the gold league leaders then, from what you're saying. In a way.
Yeah,
they're players that achieve the most, like run meters, tackles, those type of things that we saw years ago. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because I mean, you got James Tedesco's for the Roos, Dylan Edwards, Clint Gutherson for you, and then you got the women's ones in there as well, which is again pretty cool. They've
added a lot name and I'm ready to throw money at it already.
Actually, I just realised we didn't touch on the women's base card and golds.
No, we didn't. We missed that one.
No, I just realised that. I actually really think the base card for the women's, I know probably shouldn't call them a base card because they are an insert, but I actually really think that design looks awesome. And this year they've actually got the golds. They've had women's cards in Traders for a couple of years now, but they've never had the gold parallel. And this year they've got a gold parallel, which I think is pretty cool. Don't quote me on this one, but I'm pretty sure you get a men's gold and a women's gold per box of the titanium. They are a titanium exclusive, the gold. But I'm pretty sure I did read, and by looking at the math of it, that you get a men's and a women's, which I think is the way to do it. I don't think it should be either a man's or a woman's. In a lot of the insert side of things, I think it should be you get both. So I really think that if that is the case, you get a men's gold and a women's gold per box. I think that is awesome. And looking at that design, in hand it might be different, but just looking at it on the flyer, I'll give the women's cards a 10 out of 10 looking at that.
I'm looking at that, and I like that design a lot. So looking at the base one, probably going to give it about probably an 8.5 to a 9 out of 10. Really up there for the base one. Gold's not too bad, but I do probably prefer that kind of base one better. So probably give the gold one about a 6.5 there.
Yeah, gold. I'll be trying to collect the Raiders ones. I like to master set Raiders cards, but so I'll just be looking for those ones. I'm plus Kezi Apps. Anyone hits a Kezi Apps gold card, hit me up. But yeah, the base cards for the women's, I'm really keen on those ones. I think they look great. So
they do look good. Let's move into the Premiership predictors. Now, the example here is the Gold Coast Titans, and the thing I want to touch on, which I found really, really cool, just trying to find it once again on the checklist here. But for the Premiership predictor this year, it also includes the NRLW. So the NRLW teams being Broncos, Raiders, Sharks, Titans, Knights, Cowboys, Eels, Dragons, Roosters, and the West Tigers at this current point in time. Obviously, they are looking to build teams in future years, but this is awesome. This is really, really cool. The NRLW is growing more and more, and I think that, for this to be the first year this is happening, in the future, when this game it's already starting to become successful, but when it gets to a point where it's very successful, these cards are going to be worth a lot. We've seen how cool these Premiership predictor sets have been. I had a Roosters one in 2019. Then in 2021, I also had the Storm from 2020. I think I also had a Panthers one, but I thought the Panthers one looked god-awful. Not going to lie. And that was in 2021, I think. I think it was because I had it. You had Rabbits. I had Panthers, I'm pretty sure, from memory. And you wanted to do a trade with me. I'm pretty sure I remember that. You had a South predictor and I had a Penrith one in 2021 when we couldn't get up to the grand final in Brisbane.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't. I know. Funny you mentioned that. I actually won a Panthers predictor on that grand final. I had a rabbit signature card, and I think it was with Waylon. We had a bet. I said if the Panthers win, I get his Panthers predictor. If the Bunnies win, he gets my rabbit signature card.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah, that's how I ended up with one of my 2021 premiership predictors for the Panthers. But yeah, I agree with everything you just said there with the women's. I think that's an awesome extra that they've done with that. One thing, though, that I haven't heard clarified yet is it will be interesting to know for those that try and collect all the predictors or put them in shares. I do a share page as well where people share their predictors around and pull them all together to send them off to TLA to get the bonus card. For those that don't know, if you collect them all, they do 50 extra bonus cards, but you've got to collect them all. One thing that will be interesting is, will you have to collect all 27 men's and women's combined to get the bonus card, or will it be you collect the 17 men's, send them off, and collect the 10 women's and send them off separately?
I think they're going to do it as an all. I feel like they're going to have to do it as an all, which I think is going to be disappointing for people, and I think it's going to make those magic moments or whatever you call them to be harder to collect and go up in value, which is going to be a shame. But I think that's probably the way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's how they're going to do it. I would prefer it to be separate, but I think that's how they're going to do it. And I guess the positives to people, if they are all combined, it'll mean, even though I personally love all the women's cards, that there is still a lot of people that, they're not paying $200 a box hoping to hit a woman's card or a woman's insert. But if you need them all to get the bonus card, it'll keep the value of the women's ones up higher and more sought after by people that ultimately don't really want them. Whereas if it was separate, if they hit one, they're going to be absolutely devastated because it doesn't help put their set together, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'd be keen to see how they do it. But, yeah, I think that's really cool how they've added those in. The design of them looks pretty similar to previous years. There's not much difference. I think they look pretty cool.
I'd probably give it about a 7 because I think it's similar to previous years, but I think they've done a better job. I personally think the last 2 years have been really disappointing on the Premiership predictor end. I really loved the 2020 Traders, I think it was, design. I thought that was one of the best design they had back then. And I haven't really liked the design in previous years, but this is one that I wouldn't mind kind of getting my hands on a Premiership predictor just to see it in hand, because I think they look really, really nice here.
Yeah, I think just looking at what's on the flyer now, I think in hand they will look really nice. All that gold will be obviously gold foil, and that'll sort of pop out on the card. So, yeah, I think that'll be really cool. But, yeah, I'm interested in trying to get a set of those. So I think, yeah, that'll keep the chase interesting for many people.
Speaking of the chase, I think I'm going to be chasing these because we've seen this in the AFL and it's worked for a number of years that the not the Brownlow. Yeah, it is the Brownlow. The Brownlow predictor card. If you get a Giants card and a Giants player goes on to win, you get an exclusive card of them holding the medal. I'm pretty sure it is something like that. And now you've got NRL and NRLW combined Dally M predictors, which, if you're an Eels fan, if you're a Raiders fan, if you're a Tigers fan, you can get excited because there's a potential of getting 2 cards. If Clint Gutherson and Abby Church go on to win the Dally M on both parts, then wow, this will be really, really cool. These are hella good designs. I think these beat out the season to remember for me. I think they're really nice design. There's a nice big eel. There's the Dally M symbol. There's this kind of computer AI looking background. Yeah, I'm giving it a 10 for sure. Straight off the bat, these are cards I'm going after.
Yeah, I think these are going to be, and the fact that it's redeemable for a signed Daily M medalist card.
Oh,
Just
I
adds
didn't
to it.
know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yep. It's redeemable. It says it redeemable for a signed Daily M medalist card if a player from your team wins the Daily M medal or the NRLW. So that's it'd be interesting to whether it's just going to be a single card or a booklet. That is unknown. As one of my cats just got through my door. But I think, and there's only 40 per team, so yeah, it's going to keep the chase pretty hard. Me personally, I don't think. Sorry, my cat's just.
no, that's all
right. I don't think, sadly, the Raiders men's are going to have any Daily M medalists, so I won't be in a rush to get that one, but I'll be definitely trying to get the Raiders women's one first, because I think we have more chances of winning that. Like Samima Taufa's already won one previously. I think she was at the Roosters at the time. And so I think, sorry, I'm just going to move my cat out of here.
That's all right.
Otherwise, she's going to be climbing all over me. So I think that's going to be really sought after. And the cards itself, so even if you hit one and the Daily M winner isn't from that team, the cards itself, like you pointed out with the design, in hand, I think they're going to look even better.
Yeah, I'm looking
with the
forward
Daily M little medal there. So there's a lot of hope with those ones as well. You're sitting there, and it'll make the Daily M count night even more exciting for you if you're sitting there going, okay, I've got a Panthers one, Nathan Cleary's up the top, I've got a Broncos one, Reece Walsh is also talked about up there, and yeah, so I think that's really cool that they've done that. And I like, you mentioned the AFL tend to go down the road of individual players, but I like the fact that the NRL just put it as if someone from that team wins it. I'm glad they didn't go down the road of making too many individual ones and wild cards and all that sort of stuff. I think this is the best way to do it. And yeah, I agree with you. I'll give that one a 10 out of 10 as well.
Yeah, looks really good. Let's get into another new one. Now, you mentioned earlier the driving force. I think it was last year throughout Traders. I remember a couple of years ago, it was the team wild card. Thought the team wild cards look really, really good. But as for, it's great to have that set. But as for a collector, you kind of sometimes want a bit of value. And I think that the value of those cards really went down really, really quickly. And now you've got these sword and shields, which look really nice. You've obviously got a Dolphins example here. And I'm just trying to work out. So I'm thinking the sword and shield represents offense and defense, attack and defense, is it? Is that what they're trying to do?
That's my understanding. Looking at it, you got Felice Kafusi and Jermaine Asako on the Dolphins one. So you got their biggest attacking player. He had the most points in the whole NRL last year from memory. And then you got the tough guy in the team, Felice Kafusi. You don't want to be running at him. So I think that's, I think that's a really cool. I think it's better than driving force, in my opinion, with the name of it as well. And having the forward and the back complements each other really cool. They've gone from being 3 per team to 2, which I actually think that's probably better, but because then you can have the individual ones for those that put them in folders like myself. You can have the 2 individual ones and then the team one next to each other. Whereas previously,
I like these. I like these a lot. You've got this medieval kind of background, this red cloud. You've got what looks like a symbol within the word sword. You've got a literal sword and shield with gold writing. Yeah, these look really, really sick. And 2 players going in different directions. Hopefully that's the same on most cards for that design. Probably going to go an 8.5. Hey, probably going to go pretty high there. These are more of the, higher end inserts. And this is a really good looking card.
Yeah, I think with this, I'd probably be around the same, around the 8 mark. But it's one of those ones that I reckon once you have it in hand, you're either going to go 8's fair enough, or maybe I'll even drop it to a 7, or you're going to go, nah, that's a 10. Looking at these ones, I think they've got the yeah, that could actually be a 10 card in hand. So I'll give it an 8 as you did as well. But I'm thinking once you see them in hand, I'm thinking that they may be a 10 possibility. I also, again, this is just purely a guess. I've kind of got a feeling that they may be the case card as well. There may be a parallel case card of them. Again, that's just a guess because the last year they had that one as a case card. I do actually have one sitting here somewhere, a South one, I think. Yeah, the driving force, that was last year's case cards.
Okay.
Driving force one. So I've got a feeling because they had that as a priority version, your normal version, and I've got a feeling that's probably what they'll do with these ones. But again, that's just purely a guess. Unfortunately, there's no mention of case cards on the checklist. Well, none that I can see anyway, and I've had a good look, but I haven't seen anything.
Let's move into the Legends signatures. We've got 2 more cards sets to talk about throughout the 2024 Traders. So thanks for sticking around throughout the video. On the legend signatures, you've got Bulldogs legend Terry Lamb. Now, this is going to be very sought after. This is a very cool card. And then the other one, which is kind of, a classic legend, but more of a modern legend as well. You've got Shane Webke. So I like that you've got not just 2 60s, 80s players. You've got more of that 90s, early 2000s kind of vibe as well. So Shane Webke from the Broncos and Terry Lamb from the Bulldogs, obviously going to be very sought after. I personally don't really collect the legends. I think that they're fantastic cards, great design. I want an Andrew Johns one before I die, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Start saving now. Start saving now for one of those.
I did have a Petro 7 Aceva a couple of years ago, which I did end up selling or trading. I think I traded it actually. Maybe even towards a Manly booklet at the time. I can't even remember. But yeah, they're great designs. These are great players as well. I think that the Bulldogs haven't really gotten something special throughout the time that I've collected these cards. At least I think there's been Sharks Andrew Eddinghausen, there's been Michael Cronin for the Eel, Petro 7 Aceva for the Panthers. So and I from memory don't think the Bulldogs have had a booklet since 2019 or 2020 as well. So it's really good for Bulldogs fans to get this release here. So yeah, I'm probably going to give, it's the same design, but I'm probably going to give the Legend signature a 9 out of 10 because I think they're so cool.
I agree. I also don't collect the Legends, but that's one of my regrets with Traders. At the time when they first came out, maybe if I had have known it was something that they were going to continue on year after year with the same awesome looking design, even though it's basic, I think simple is better in a lot of cases when it comes to card design. And I regret not doing them back in 2013 when they started. I went, I'm only going to do any Raiders ones that come out. And when I see people collecting them all and putting them all together, I think it looks awesome. So I am jealous of people that do have legend sets. But yeah, I think the Terry Lamb's a good choice. One thing that I was talking to someone just the other day about this, I think Webke's an awesome decision as well. And like you mentioned, you've got sort of more of the more recent retired versus someone that retired over 20 years ago. But I thought it would have been a perfect opportunity for them to have Terry Lamb with a Brett Kenny.
Oh,
for a Brett Kenny Legends. I would have loved to have seen Lamb and Kenny, the 258s during the 80s that always battled it out, along with Wally Lewis, obviously. But he didn't come into the NRL until 88, which was a bit later on anyway. But yeah, I thought that would have been perfect. You would have had the Dogs-Eels rivalry together there, bringing back that 80s rivalry. But that's not poo-pooing Webke. I think that's a great choice as well. I'm guessing Webke will probably be in a rep jersey. They usually have one of the cards in a rep jersey, and I'm assuming that'll be Webke, given that Terry's in the Bulldogs jersey. But yeah, I think it's a good choice. But it would have been awesome if Brett Kenny and Terry Lamb were done together. I think that would have made it just, an awesome thing. But again, I'll give it again, they're always the same design, which I love. So you got to give them a 10 out of 10, don't you, with the Legends cards?
Well, I mean, I gave them pretty high, but yeah, I think they probably deserve that 10.
Yeah, one thing, hopefully, fingers crossed, the signatures on them are good quality and not smudged. Unfortunately,
yeah, they've
been
smudged over the last couple of years, which is a bit disappointing there.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's getting damaged when they're getting done in the production run, getting put through packs with the rollers and stuff like that. So hopefully the last year, most of them seemed all pretty good from what I saw, but there was 2 years in a row where they were quite dreadful, unfortunately. But I think, going off last year's, touch wood, that they fixed that quality issue, and hopefully this year's the same, where the quality of the signature is really good, because I think they'll be really sought after. And I've already spoken to a lot of people that aren't Bulldogs fans, that as soon as they saw Terry Lamb, that was their, all right, that's my chase. I'm buying cards, I'm going in breaks until I hit that Terry Lamb card.
There you go, very sought after. Well, these are the cards that we have talked about throughout this video, and there is one card left to talk about. But here's a little bit of a look, guys, that what we've talked about from the season to remembers, to your Sword and Shields, your World in League, Legends, Dally M. So all these will be available, to go in breaks, to purchase in a short amount of time. There's only a short amount of time until this release comes out. But the last cards that we are going to talk about is these ones here. Now, the face of the poster is your man, Jared Croker from the Raiders. So I know that you are going to collect 65 of these. And I know you're looking forward to filling up a complete folder with Jared Croker. But there are some great names here. Jared Croker, Wade Graham, Sam Bremner, who was fantastic in the NRLW. You've got Andrew McCulloch and Josh Hodgson, James Tarmow, Josh Reynolds for Bulldogs fans, Brad Takarangi. He hasn't been at the Eels for a while, but he is kind of a legend of the club. A lot of people love what Brad brought to the club. And Renee Target as well, to mention, for the St. George Illawarra Dragons in the NRLW. So, yeah, some massive names there to collect amongst the retirement cards, which I really like. And I really like getting my retirement cards signed. I think I've got Mitchell Orbison, maybe. I think it was Mitchell Orbison, and I think there's a Parramatta one, maybe even a Luke Burt one that I ended up getting signed when I went to the Gold Coast, and he was part of the assistant coaching squad. So, yeah, they look really nice. Once again, one of my favorite card design. I just hate the quality. They just, if you put them in the wrong kind of area, they fold so easily, or they kind of sometimes get stuck to other cards as well. But probably a 10 out of 10 design for me, because I've always loved these retirement cards.
Yeah, I agree that it's another one like the Legends card. They've stuck with the same design from 2013 on to now. And I'm glad that they have, because, it's a nice, again, simplistic design, but it looks classy. I agree with the quality, though. But last year, again, they had really... I've mentioned this a fair bit last year during breaks, that the quality of the retirement cards last year was drastically improved from previous years. Most years, whenever you get a retirement card, most of them already have corner damage, or they're off cut. The centering's not good. There's usually some sort of blemish with them. But last year, the quality of them was way better. So, again, touch wood. That's the same this year. I would assume it will be. I'm hoping it will be, especially with there's 3 that I'll be really chasing: the Jared Croker, Sam Williams, and Josh Hodgson. Even though it's going to have that really bad team logo on it. So I can't remember the team that he last played for. So, one of those crap teams. Oh, that's right. It was the Eels. That's right. Yeah. But he'll have a Raiders jersey, probably 2 Raiders jerseys in the photo on that one, I would assume. So they'll be the 3 that I'll be chasing. And, I'll be definitely giving the Jared Croker a 10 out of 10. So I'll be looking forward to chasing those ones. And what are they? They're still 1 per 2 boxes, 1 per 72 packets. So they're still a decent chase. They're a hard chase, but it's not a super hard chase where you're going to have to sell a kidney to try and collect them, which is what I like. I like it. Yeah, happy to chase something, but I don't like having to sell a kidney to buy it. And these are something that are a good little hit, but yeah, that simple design, but look great in my opinion.
Well, there we go. That is the 2024 NRL Traders Preview. As I mentioned at the start of the video, guys, if you want to get involved in breaks and, even sales, there is sometimes some sale. I think I've even seen some razzers, things like that over on the NRL and Sports Cards Break Facebook page. Jared just has to chuck you in once you send a request, and then you're part of that great family over there that I've been family for a number of years, and I've hit some pretty good cards in those breaks as well. I haven't really been in breaks more recently because I look forward more to Elite. So when Elite comes out, we're going to be doing a video for 3 hours. So prepare yourself. If you thought this was long, you've got no idea what's coming. But Jared, thank you so much for jumping on the channel. And could you let us know when the release date for this product is?
It is the 29th of February. So which, all things going smoothly, will be Thursday week. So it's
very
around the corner. It's jumped up on me. I looked at the date today. I went, hang on a second. We're 11 days away from Traders coming out. So as far as I know, everything's on track. So Thursday week, hopefully that will mean I'll be breaking the first case on the 29th of February. The first case is already sold out, by the way. But if you want to join in and have a look just to check out the cards, 29th of February, fingers crossed that I'll have my stock by then. I may have to drive to pick some up. But yeah, 29th of February, so 11 days away.
Well, there you go, guys. It's so soon. He'll have some cards there for the Vegas opener. So probably after that Vegas opener, he might be doing some breaks. Who knows? But guys, make sure you do subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. If you've enjoyed this video, let us know in the comments and let us know what card is your most anticipated card to collect throughout this series. This video will be available on Jared's Facebook page as well. It's been fantastic talking about cards, and we'll have Jared on, no doubt, at some point in the channel, probably on a vlog as well if we get to a Raiders game. I think I am planning to go to the Raiders and the Eels. But that's it from me, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later.